Alright everyone, welcome to Action Park, where we have trained staff, underage staff, and all sorts of stuff that make the park quite wonderful. Hell, you could be the second person to die in a whirlpool attraction. Now doesn't that just sound amazing? But, all jokes aside, as you've probably seen, it's Amazement Traptrix, and I call it Action Park. Now, what is Action Park? A real place in real life that you would probably never want to go to in your life. Well, for several reasons. First off, quite literally, you could have been the second person to have died in a whirlpool attraction. The park had over 6 deaths. The people at the park thought of the capitalist way and said, hey, we're making way more money than the deaths are making us lawsuits, so let's keep on running it. They ran it for 2 decades, eventually closed down due to too many lawsuits, and that's the history of Action Park, really. Now, let's move on to, I guess, the deck profile. Now, running, well, 3 Arling Kino, 2 Delia, 3 Comica, and those would be the Amazement monsters. Now, the Traptrix monsters, 2 Mantis, 2 Galona, 1 Nephthys. That's the Traptrix monsters. Now, to the spells. 2 Lightning Storm, because every now and then, you go second, and it makes you want to cry. And I need something that outboards that I can't out when going second. Pot of Extravagance. I need to draw traps. Amazing Time Tickets. I need Arlenkino in my hand. Now to the traps. Bottomless. Traptrix Nightmare. Trap Hole Nightmare, sorry. And Floodgate Trap Hole. These all work with the Traptrix monsters and getting them out through the one nifty combo with Sarah. Now the Amazement cards. 2 Rapid Racing, 3 Cyclo Coaster, 3 Whorehouse, 2 Viking Vortex, 4, well, Amazement Traps. The Rapid Racing is neat because you can, well, make your opponent cry if they're playing a graveyard heavy deck. Cyclo Coaster because you can get Arlenkino. Whorehouse because you can Book a Moon your opponent and negate their effects. Freaking Viking Vortex because you can return their monster to the hand, or you can battle trap them if you equip it to your own monster. And Solemn Strike because I want to win more. Now the extra deck. 1 Traptrix Almaros. Probably butchered the name, but who cares? Running it because as long as the opponent's monster leaves the field because of my card effect, which means Arlenkino's effect of destroying a monster by ditching one of the Amazement's traps, you can steal it with an Almaros. I keep on butchering that name, whatever. Now, Traptrix Rafflesia. I know I got this one down. Essentially, Rafflesia, you just sit here and you use trap pulls from deck if you didn't draw any. Which I'm playing enough that you'd usually draw maybe 1, but usually you can go into a Rafflesia because would you look at that? They're all level 4, baby. So Rafflesia is not the hardest to make, it's just like when do you want to make it, because Comica's not bad to just sit on field. Now Axis Code Soccer. I like to hit hard. And hitting hard feels nice. And I can win duels because you just can't hit hard enough. Same goes for Soldier of Chaos, because would you look at that? Arlenkino's a level 7, using a level 7 or higher. So meaning, can't touch me with card effects, baby. Now, Nightmare Unicorn, because, well, you gotta out some things sometimes. Phoenix, because you gotta out some spell traps sometimes. Then Lana and Asa, both of the Charmers, because you can steal shit from your opponent's graveyard and because there's not a whole lot of stuff you can make. And I just needed to fill the extra deck out. Long ass U Traptrix. essentially you'll only really make this one whenever you start running out of trap holes. Or you can go into it immediately after going into Sarah. But that's like, it's a very conditional monster to go into just because Sarah's a lot better. Cerberus, because it's Cerberus, you can out special summon monsters with him. And Sarah, because Sarah's kind of the crux of the Traptrix engine and free resources. What does this deck do exactly? As you've seen by the big ass trap lineup of 19, I don't want my opponent to play the game. I want them to feel like they're back at Action Park and they're suffering. That's what I wanted it to feel like. I wanted to feel like they're at Action Park. I want to feel like they'll be the second person to die in a Viking Vortex. God. But yeah, when I was playing this deck, the biggest problem with it is going seconds, because you can't win. Like, very rarely could I out a board going second because I could just make an access code, or I could make a unicorn out their boss monster and beat over anything else. But that's the problem, because if you go second, all of this is turned off. The only things that'll work going second would have to be Horror House, Viking Vortex, and fucking Cyclo Coaster. You're kind of useless going second because their grave effects don't really matter too much anymore. The trap holes only matter if you're going first, and Solemn Strike, kind of matters. But you got the Lightning Storm that you hope you can draw into a Pot of Extravagance when you need it. When you don't need it, you don't want to see it because your board's usually filled up with fucking monsters and face-up traps. You do not want to see Lightning Storm. That's all I'm saying if you're going first. Maybe if your board gets outed, then you can out your opponents again, but you kind of don't want to see it. Or you could run, you know, Dark Hole, which is infinitely less money. But this is more or less it. Now, the hardest part about this deck is these cards' dumbass effects and timings, because guess what? They're like continuous traps, but they're not. Let me tell you a story. So, once upon a time, I thought I could play Draco Pals. And then, these aren't continuous. End of story. I can't play Draco Pals with this deck. I was originally going to do... my original version of this deck was I was going to make fucking Meltron the 12th, the true Draco combatant. But then I figured out these aren't count as continuous when they're face up. And that made me a little sad, because I'm like, I was like, this would be fucking crazy if I just sit on a fucking Meltron the 12th. But no, I cannot do freaking any Dracos, which makes me a little sad. But no, I figured out these aren't technically continuous under the guidelines of don't have the special, they don't have cool little circle up there that make them continuous, which makes me a little sad. Now, time to jump cut to show you a neat combo that this deck can do that I believe most Traptrix players know how to do, so I will see you when I properly perform this combo. Alright, baby, this would be a big ol' combo. You use Mantis effect, you get the stupid monster, you get monster gets in hand. Now depending on what traps you have, you'll do trap things, because you want Trap Lady on field. So since I don't have that person, I'll just dump a trap hole. Do that, you make your opponent sad because they're like, oh no, it's a Traptrix deck. Then you sit on Sarah. Now when you make Sarah, you can set a trap, because you should have at least 2 in hand. That's how I've cycled it around. You know, just reset a trap, doesn't really matter, because then Sarah activates. Sarah says hi, and then gets you a free trap hole, which you'll probably just go into Bottomless or Floodgate, because you don't really want the other one, because you can, you know, do cool things and make it. And now, then you just kind of sit here and wait with 3 traps. And this is more or less this is the Traptrix combo, because then it gives you free trap, But yeah, that's more or less the deck. Mainly you just want to get Arlenkino out as fast as possible because he's the big bad boss monster of the deck. And he really makes the deck quite powerful. It's just a shame this deck is slow as hell. That's also the second problem I found with this deck. It's so goddamn slow for a stun deck. Like, sure, you can make your opponent sad and make him go slower, but man, this deck is slow. Action Park. Admission only 14 bucks. Come one, come all. But this would be the end. The ride is closed. 1996 is called. The year is finally called on to me. From 1978 to 1996, my fabulous park called Action Park was open. My underage staff finally got fired. My amazing administrator who would watch over the park, although we sold beer at kiosks, would watch it. But all in all, in the end, the losses were just too heavy, and the capital sway just couldn't win. This was Action Park.